Shopping with TDC just got much easier. Here's how. Log on to shoptdcgroup.com. Shop at your convenience at any time, from anywhere, with your smartphone, tablet, or computer. With our safe and secure payment checkout, you choose the option to pick up in-store or have your goods delivered right to your door. It's that easy. Shop tdcgroup.com, your one-stop online store.
Shop anywhere, shop anytime, same quality you love. Now online. Shop
www.shoptdcgroup.com.
St. Kitts and Nevis, are you ready to take control of your financial future? Join the UTC Global Balance Fund Limited for a free personal finance and investing webinar on Wednesday, July 9th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. via Zoom. Learn from financial experts Omar Burt-Smith and Tricia Ann Henry as they break down the power of investing and introduce the UTC Global Balance Fund Limited. Seats are limited. Secure your free spot now. Simply email us at info@utcgbfl.com to register today. Don't miss this chance to unlock your financial potential.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on Win Media 98.9.
And good morning. How are we all doing this morning? Welcome to today's edition of Island Tea. It is the 9th day of July in the year 2025. To the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, good morning. In the regional and international diaspora, good morning. We are being simulcast on TVC, Channel 40, Facebook, as well as YouTube. If you're listening to us via radio, we are on the FM dial at 98.9. Just to remind you, if you have a pressing issue to bring to the fore or you wish to join in on the conversation, the numbers are, I'll start with the local number today, 466-0989. In the U.S., we have two numbers. The first one, 305-921-4619 or 1-718-285-6984. In the U.K., it's 0333-440065. Good morning, Quint. How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Trying to be plenty better than yesterday.
Okay.
So I'll try my best to be my best today. I realized the new site that I put you onto, they're going to close their doors now.
They're going to close down?
Mm-hmm. When I saw it yesterday, I was like, oh boy, is everything going to slowly disappear?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says, Loop News bids goodbye. Loop News bids the Caribbean a grateful goodbye. They say all good things must come to an end. And so it is that after 11 years of proudly serving the Caribbean as a trusted media partner, Loop News is today announcing the end of our operations. So I guess that was yesterday. We are proud of what we have achieved and of the people who came on the journey with us.
Yeah, that is due to the wave of people who are on TikTok and people prefer, it seems, to get their news from more unreliable sources.
And we know we have a lot of those going around. I heard Sportsmax is closing down because both of them are owned by Digicel, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, so both of them, everything's closing. As Donald Trump would say, like they've never closed before.
Yeah.
And I'm just being sarcastic. So what is on the plate this morning? I see this story is from WinFM. Well, it's on winfm.com, and it says breathalyzer training for St. Kitts and Nevis police aim to enhance road safety. So don't think you could drink and get away now. They can
Wow.
test your alcohol levels in your system.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
But I don't think most of these accidents are really by
Alcohol.
alcohol. They're just people who are reckless. They
Just-
just want to get somewhere quickly, or some even trying to prove something. You know,
But what are they trying to prove?
that they're superhuman, I guess.
Oh, a superhuman can't work. They need to relax themselves. They need to relax themselves. It makes no sense whatsoever to overdo the do. Take your time. As we say, nowhere in sync is far.
Yeah.
And
Ah.
Why you sound so weary? Like you're just sure we share the same sentiments because we try and they don't listen, right?
Yeah.
They're making you weary. And there's another headline that says the EC dollar 49 years of enduring stability. It says the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank marks a significant milestone, celebrating 49 years since the Eastern Caribbean dollar was formally pegged to the United States dollar. The fixed exchange rate set at 2.7 to 1 US has been a cornerstone of monetary stability across the Eastern Caribbean currency union. The decision to peg the EC dollar to the US dollar was made on July the 7th. Oh, so they had an anniversary. 1976. So whoever was born on that day, you got greatness pegged to your name. A move the ECCB Governor Timothy N.J. Antoine described as tremendous. 49 years of monetary stability. This is something that's a tremendous achievement by the collection of small island developing states, of which we ought to be justifiably proud. The strategic shift from the pound sterling was prompted by the U.S. becoming the region's primary trading partner. Previously, the EC dollar was pegged to the pound sterling at a rate of EC $4.80 to 1 pound, a system that faced challenges following the pound's depreciation in the 1970s. So that's good. And you know, I often wonder, colonies, why they use the dollar, but I guess because of its stableness, because places like Anguilla, Tortola, Bermuda, and those places, I often wonder, why do they use US and not the pound sterling?
I guess because the U.S. is more accepted worldwide, so in terms of doing business, it's easier to deal with something that everyone is familiar with, and more like that.
Yeah, makes plenty more. I guess that's why, because I oftentimes think, I wonder how the Queen feels that our people are not using her money.
The king now.
Well, no, back then I thought of the
Oh.
Queen. Yeah, I know it's the king now. Well,
I don't think she,
She might.
I don't think she was, look, she was filthy rich, so yeah.
it doesn't bother her.
One way or the other. Have you ever done a research on the lavish life of the royalty?
Mm-mm,
Yeah,
never.
you should. You see that, yeah,
So she
the
don't
money
care.
that she rakes in
Uh-huh.
from the Commonwealth is that she did raking at that time, and now the king is
Yeah, the
going to be
king's-
doing the same.
Okay.
Yeah, there have been times when the British people have got up and protested and said, "You're making too much money, and we're suffering, and we're going to this and that," and I think a lot of things they're exempted from too. Like they don't have to pay certain things that the average individual has to pay. So add that to all that they're getting, and you can understand the lavish lifestyle of the rich and famous. You remember that program, or you're too young to remember that? Lifestyles of the rich
I
and
know the
famous.
song. I heard the song like that, but I honestly can't say I remember a program like that.
Yeah, because
So they
you're,
I know
because
they
you're
had
young.
this
you
one.
you were just born yesterday, so.
I know they had this one called Cribs, where the celebrities would invite the camera into their house and show you how they lived. But that was on MTV, but I don't remember. I know the song "Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous."
I think if you were to type in "lifestyle of the rich and famous," you would might still see some episodes and clips, and they showed you the extravagance. I mean, everybody everybody wanted to reach up to that level. I'm speaking about the poor, you know. Soon as an American star got a certain amount of money, he wanted to be up there with the bourgeois, and the rappers were all singing about lifestyle. And I can't even remember the name of the guy, but there was this chubby guy who was the host of the program. It was a big hit. It was a big hit right around the world.
Well, let me tell you, as you recommended, Google, Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous refers to a television series that showcased the extravagant lives of wealthy individuals and celebrities. The show, hosted by Robin Leach, featured extravagant homes, luxury items, and celebrity lifestyles. It aired from 1984. I was a mere 2 in 1984. So
that's
you
what
see,
I said.
in 1995, I was a little older, but I guess I wasn't paying attention to telly like that. It aired from 1984 to 1995 and became known for Leach's signature sign-off, Champagne Wishes and Caviar Dreams.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Good Charlotte are the singers of the song I was telling you about, Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous. Yeah.
When you get some time, you should watch at least 2 of the episodes, and you'll see. I mean, you talk lavish lifestyle. Yeah. So let's take a bit of a commercial break, and we'll be back.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Everything you want, everything you need, got the taste you love, anywhere that you may be, is the Caribbean flavor. Shirley biscuits make me happy.
Shirley got it all about the flavor. Shirley never let me down. When I lime it at the beach on the town, Shirley biscuits always feel like home.
Everything you want, everything you need, got the taste you love, anywhere that you may be, is the Caribbean flavor. Shirley biscuits make me happy.
Shirley, the Caribbean's favorite biscuit.
St. Kitts and Nevis, are you ready to take control of your financial future? Join the UTC Global Balance Fund Limited for a free personal finance and investing webinar on Wednesday, July 9th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. via Zoom. Learn from financial experts Omar Burt-Smith and Tricia Ann Henry as they break down the power of investing and introduce the UTC Global Balance Fund Limited. Seats are limited. Secure your free spot now. Simply email us at info@utcgbfl.com to register today. Don't miss this chance to unlock your financial potential.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on Win Media 98.9.
And we are back on Island Tea as we continue.
And I saw the phone lighting up during the commercial break, so caller, you are free to call back and interact.
Oh, so the person's not there anymore.
No.
Okay, all right. So I saw another headline that reads, "The St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister updates nation." They're there?
Yeah.
Okay, caller, good morning. You're live on Island Tea.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good
How are
day.
you doing today?
It was interesting how you segued into from the EC dollar, lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Rather interesting.
Yeah, but I wondered now that Guyana's economy is booming. Is the Guyanese dollar still floated? Does it change?
I wonder. Now that you brought it up, I never thought of that, but I still think it's 1 to 200.
It's still
Or
the same.
200
Yeah.
to 1, yeah. Let me do a little research here quickly. I never thought of that part.
Yeah, because normally it's a reflection. The strength of the dollar is a reflection of the economy, and if you're keeping that same level now that the economy is strong, then I don't
Something's
know.
wrong,
That
right?
goes against the conventional wisdom. I
Okay,
would
let's
think.
see.
Well, what has happened is because of the way how the colonialists sort of set up the system. It seems when you reach that ratio where it's a vast amount compared to the U.S. dollar, it's kind of hard to creep back in. I think what they might have to do, or what this is why I always speak about Caribbean integration and us, becoming one and all doing the same thing.
Well,
Caller,
I
it's
yes.
actually more than I expected. It's $209.12.
Yeah,
Guyanese
it's
dollar
almost
to
impossible
1 US.
to pull back out.
Wow.
That's interesting.
More than 200. Wow.
Well, I guess the experts in economics and finance and so on would explain that away, but it seems not normally if you have a strong economy, you can afford to peg your dollar higher, right? It has more purchasing power and so on. So I don't know.
For me, I'm not a financial guru, but it seems there are certain factors that played into our favor. Like, for instance, we were part of the British Commonwealth, part of the British colonialist system. One, we had the Queen on the Queen's head. We have the Queen's head on our money. That is of significance. What I realize is back in the day when there were certain islands in the Caribbean who decided to put certain individuals that were their own heroes on the money, it sort of devalued it. But as long as you have someone like a representation of the former colonialist system, you kind of boded well,
Well, the thing is, though, I mean, haven't though the other countries in the Caribbean currencies remain pretty stable as well? Well, certainly Barbados and Trinidad, not Jamaica, I don't think, but certainly Barbados and Trinidad, right? And so you have to wonder what are the inputs into what
made them
changes. Yeah, what
successful.
what changes your currency, the
It
value
would
of
be
your.
it would be interesting to find that out. I've never really done any research on it to that extent, but I know that Jamaica again was well, it still is a big ratio, and again I repeat, as long as you've reached that point where the ratio was so vast, it seems that it's hard to pull it back. Yeah. I guess
You know what might.
I guess
you know
it lock. Go ahead.
You know what might be the answer? If your country is flooded with, for instance, U.S. dollars,
Yeah.
then it automatically puts pressure on your currency to rise in because if it's flooded with U.S. dollars, for instance, that's what people are going to use as just like, let's say, Anguilla.
Yeah.
Right. Even though it's part of the currency union, isn't it? The East Caribbean Currency Union.
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure.
You can still use EC dollars in Anguilla, I think.
Yeah, I think they use both.
I think it's still official currency, but I imagine that the U.S. dollar, just like in the BVI, the British Virgin Islands, is essentially the currency of choice.
Yeah.
Right, and even though the BVI is a British colony, it's strange. It still essentially uses the U.S. dollar.
I think it's their proximity to the U.S. Virgin Islands that might play a part.
Right. It's flooded with them. The currency of choice. But the other thing that I found interesting when you brought up lifestyles of the rich and famous, and yes, Cartens, you might be a little too young to remember that. But it's this quirk of human nature that attracts you to programs like that, and to lifestyles like that. You know, it's almost like it's the dream of so many people to emulate that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that is why things, for instance, like monarchies survive.
Yeah.
You know, the conventional wisdom is that, you know, people don't like this entitled family living off the fat of the land, kind of thing for free. But it might be something in our animal instinct, maybe, because just like how you have a queen bee, everybody feeds all the other bees feed it, kind of thing. Maybe that's just a natural flow thing.
I believe it was set up to be that way, because if you look back from medieval times coming up to, you know, where people began to be more so-called civilized and so forth, you realize that there was always this serfdom and the lords and that kind of stuff. So it hasn't really.
But that wasn't that maintained by force of arms, though. A lot of people didn't have any choice.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that it sort of, even when it moved away where people had what you call more of a democracy or whatnot, it really didn't change that much.
Yeah, right. And that's why I say it might be something innate in us, that kind of figurehead up there that can.
Well, perhaps. Hello, here's an economist who might be able to give us.
Oh, good morning.
Right.
Good day,
good
Sylvie.
Morning, Cartens. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
You're giving God thanks. I heard the weather. They expect the heat to be 90-something%, 90 degrees.
Oh boy.
Hello?
I won't be surprised. It's been hot over the past few days.
Yeah, you know. I beg the Lord have mercy. All I'm thinking about is the elderly, you know.
Yeah.
How are they going to cope with this heat? We don't have no air con or anything like that.
Yeah, or not even a fan.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Those of us who know people, you know.
Go check on them.
Yeah, they have some fans they're holding there. I don't know how much breeze that could give, but we need to do something.
Bring back the take off what it was. There were some concessions on bringing in air conditioning.
Yeah, they were, but what if those persons can't afford them?
But even those in the car, you know, because I think they wrote or whatever had donated fans, but there was no outlet to plug them into.
Oh boy, not good.
No. So may the Lord have mercy on us. Yeah. You know, every day we really just pray for mercy, you know. Who don't believe is their business.
And then again, that feeds into improper planning, where you have a bunch of elderly people in a place and you don't even have an outlet for them to plug in a fan. I mean, imagine
don't
that.
plan long term.
But until now,
unless you plan for the heat to kill some of them.
Oh my gosh, that's not nice. But until now, we can't get things changed. Like times.
I don't know, because I mean, there was a lot of talk about what they're going to air condition the place. You recall that when they were campaigning, they were going to renovate it and all that.
The whole place needs renovating.
Yeah. But we say, it's time man, put the trust in man.
Quinn, don't let it get away without asking the questions about economics.
I'm just waiting.
She just stopped. Go ahead, Miss Henry.
Which I did in my final year.
Mm-hmm.
Countries depreciate, which means to lower the value, appreciate the money, depending on the demand for it where it is. The general effect is when you depreciate your money, things you export become cheaper, while your imports go up. So that big jump You give them 1,000 US, and then and then what? In the amount to nothing when they have, because it depends on the level of import you have to do. But if you are, say in America, you call America then, and you want to travel to Guyana, how much it was before?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But to get there now, just for 2 weeks, it's like 2,000 and change. Easy.
You understand?
So that's 1,000 US almost. 900.
Jamaica is 155 or something like that.
Wow.
Things that used to cost $3. Everything is $1,000 per sandwich. From some them is,
Yeah. So
but you see what happened,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the country, because they don't plan. They're not planning. Our money used to be tied to the British pound. And they devalued it in, I think it was 1973, somewhere, right?
Yeah.
By 70, I think it was 73%, something like that. I quite remember the thing. 33%. They took it off of that.
Who did that? Who devalued
the British,
it? Yeah.
The Caribbean countries, remember there was the British currency.
Yeah.
Okay? Because we really didn't have anything much to export. If we had to export, then demand for our goods out there would have been higher.
Okay, so that kind of explains it to a considerable extent.
Not quite,
the
though,
sugar,
Prince, because
even the sugar we were selling was sold on the preferential treatment.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We produce it and we could not determine the price. Imagine you're producing it. So, like if you're an American tourist, the place to go is Guyana, because while you might have been getting 100 or something for the one, getting more. Then you have the export, which is they're gonna make more.
But that is why.
What I wanted to know, though, Quinn, is the decision was made to peg our currency to the U.S. dollar. People can't arbitrarily get up and decide what that peg should be. There must have been some kind of back-in, whether in terms of reserves, something that make us able to last 49 years with that pegging of our dollar to the U.S. dollar.
Well,
Sylvine, that's what I was trying to get. What exactly does
Sylvine, could you explain, because I don't know much, like, what prompted us doing that, and why is it that...
As I told you, we took it off of the pound sterling because we would be losing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
so we put it on to the U.S., which was more stable.
Okay.
That's why in Barbados...
Also, stability. Just the stability we wanted.
For Barbados. Because remember, tourism is an export, eh?
Yes.
Most don't think so. So when you go and you depreciate your money, you make your exports cheaper. There'll be an increased demand. So if you're not changing it, it's not going to create much demand. You leave it.
But that is why, that is why I said that it is set up that way. Because here's a scenario. Sylvine alluded to the fact that even the sugar that we produce, we could not determine the price. And therein lies the problem, because we see that happening even around the world, in Africa, where they take your minerals and they determine what you're going to sell for, and they
determine what they're going to pay you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then they take the raw material away, refine it and whatnot, and then bring it back to you at an exorbitant price. So the system itself was set up in a way, and there were times when they actually recommended that you depreciated your money because they use the same.
You really have nothing to gain, you know.
Yeah, because of the same example that Sylvine said, when you don't have much to export, but you're importing almost everything. So what they say to you is, okay, well,
make life harder for you.
yeah, they tell you
that is one of
to devalue, and you
way of
devalue,
keeping
and
us-
it makes life harder for you. Yeah, that's the way
that
the
is why
system was set
to
up.
keep us underdeveloped.
Yes.
Because, as I said, they decide we become primary producers. We grow the cane, we cut the cane, we have produced this sugar.
Yeah.
A pound of brown sugar may cost 5 cents, in nowadays.
Yes.
When the white sugar come in, because when you start to process bottled drinks and stuff, it requires white sugar.
Yeah. So you have that clear look at the colors.
Yeah, I mean, and
so you see, Mr. McMahon, you see...
even on the industrial site, the primary, they will only put half processing.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of the things them come in half process, and you finish the process.
It's the same as you take the raw material. Yeah, yeah. You take the material, you refine it, bring it back to the consumer. All the consumer does is consume and have to pay a big price for consumption.
Guyana tried to do their sugar refining.
Yeah.
Robert Burnham had nationalized the thing. And they tried to shut down Guyana because what happened? They said, all right, go ahead, you want to nationalize it, nationalize it.
Mm-hmm.
The people who own the refineries in England, they were the market.
Yeah.
So Guyana found themselves locked into a situation.
Yes.
You could refine it, but who you going to sell it to?
Yeah. Well, actually, Sylvine and Miss and McMahon, that is what they're trying to do in Africa. But here's the problem.
They're not trying to do that. But they play.
But here's the problem. But here's the problem now, because the problem now is that there are other individuals, even in their alignment, who are saying, well, we have reached a certain standard of living, and we think it is only fair that we should pay the appropriate price. And then you have Russia, and then you have China. So that is where the competition is coming in. But the
thing is, though, I think the whole financial system has become so entrenched now and so dependent on the U.S. dollar, right, that any movement away from that is going to be difficult. I saw a report there that says BRICS may be trying to do it,
but remember
it's going to be
the price of currency, like the price of
it's not going to be it's not going to be so difficult, because here's the rub now. For instance, places in Africa that have gold, they're pinning their own currency to the gold. You understand? And you know the value of gold around the world.
That's how it was before. I think wasn't it like that before? It's before the U.S. became the standard. The U.S. dollar became the standard. It was gold reserves, wasn't it?
Yes, it used to
but
be. But
Miss Henry,
so you're saying it going back to that?
Well, there were only certain
who sets
places.
the price for gold?
There were only certain places, Mr. McMahon, who reached that level could have that amount of reserve of gold. You see, but it's changing now.
Because Guyana has a lot of gold, and the currency was still devalued.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you. Sorry, Miss Henry. I didn't hear you.
She was saying about who controlled the market.
Outside control the gold market, Switzerland or whatever.
Okay.
When they pay you 5 cents an ounce, and they refine it, 2,000 something an ounce or whatever. So until you're able to establish a sound market, you're at their mercy.
But that is what is happening. That is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying.
Though,
right now, if you were to research, like it's happening with gold and it's happening with diamonds, those two commodities, where countries like Denmark and certain other places are offering good prices, as opposed to the U.S. and Britain and so, who are trying to keep it down. You understand? So it's like how the colonialists used to use this thing where divide and conquer, and now Africa is using that. You understand?
But it's also supply and demand, and that is why you refer to oil, for instance, as black gold,
Yes,
because
yes.
of its value,
worth, yeah. Yes.
and that, right, and so things like that also affect the currency markets. I would assume.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's not just a matter of, yes, you can reduce the demand and that sort of thing and fix the price, and what the United States in particular does. It has a lot of oil reserves as well,
Yes.
but it doesn't use them. It keeps them, and can, if the price gets too high, it can release some to bring down the price and do the same thing, put pressure on Saudi Arabia to do the same thing.
Sylvine, you were making a point. Repeat that.
No, I said the U.S. dollar is not backed by gold, it's backed by nothing. No, it's true.
It's true.
It's called fiat money, our money too.
Yeah. But Sylvine,
you can't say it's backed. Sylvine, you can't say it's backed by nothing.
But
when
Sylvine,
it is so much demand.
By the country reputation.
Yeah, it is backed by what they call confidence, but that confidence is fast eroding. Yeah.
Yeah, but did you hear what Trump said yesterday?
What?
Threatening Brazil or not? What they called it?
Yeah, BRICS.
BRICS.
Yeah.
He said they understand that the goal of BRICS is to reduce the value of the US dollar.
That is.
You cannot stand by and watch it happen.
Well, they can say all that they want.
They say they're going to put heavy tariffs.
Quinn, that's where I think you're wrong.
Look,
it ain't a matter of
this
saying
look,
what
Mr.
they want.
McMahon,
No,
Mr.
but
McMahon,
they have the power to back it up. That's
Mr. McMahon, they have certain power because within the minds of everyone so far, because of that confidence that we put in them, but you test it and threaten it genuinely and see what happens. The problem is that no one has wanted to test it.
You don't test somebody like Trump who is erratic and irrational.
No, that is why those are the people you test. You all don't seem to understand how the world runs. You test the people who
don't test somebody who pointing a gun at you, Quinn.
You test.
Right?
You don't. Here's the rub. You don't test someone who thinks rationally and has an oversight. But when you have someone who is erratic, you test them. But for instance, see this thing that he came up and now it's off and on with the tariff business. That is a test. You understand? That is what but before nobody was bold enough to do it. But gradually the world is seeing America for what it really is.
Look, you test at your risk, right? That's the point I'm making, right? There is the feeling that the U.S. has put itself in such a powerful position vis-a-vis the rest of the world that it's going to take decades if people want to move away from that.
That is partly true. It's going to take decades, but look, the world is changing right now. If you were to do some research and stop, and you would realize that a lot of the so-called allies, which you would be one to say America doesn't really have allies, they have interests. But those people have now awakened to the fact that they were being used as pawns. So they are also looking for better trading deals, better trading partners, and looking forward. So things are changing.
You realize that Russia and China, that were two of the foundational members of BRICS, did not attend the BRICS summit.
So what? So what does that say?
What it says is that they are very cautious and don't want to buck the system. Don't really want to seem to be
that is where
in a confrontation with the U.S.
That is where people like you, who seem to feel like the U.S. I'm being a bit of a devil's advocate, but I might be partly right. People like you who feel like the U.S. is the be-all and end-all of everything, keep them in the position that they are, because it is that mindset that keeps them there. When we start to move away from that mindset, then things will change.
Well, you can call it what you will, but the reality is right now, their economy is doing better than most other industrialized economy.
Sylvine made a point.
For whatever reason, right? They are in the dominant position now. Not only that, it's backed by military might, and they also have a president who's prepared to do anything to, as he put it, make America great again. Right?
Sylvine made a point.
And when you have that, that's why I think so many nations around the world are very cautious now, very timid when it comes to dealing with the states, because they know that they're not going to unite against the United States, right? And so nothing much is going to change.
Sylvine made a point, and Sylvine said, the American dollar, what is it hinged on? See, let me broaden that point. Why is it that this country that is so powerful, financially and otherwise, well, we know about the military might, but that is again to be tested as to who's going to want to send. Look, who wants a real war, like for instance the Third World War? How much of those American citizens are really ready unless they're in a desperate position to send their sons and daughters into a battle?
That is a mistake we made.
Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. I think on a certain level that the average person is afraid. Look, in business is risk. Life is risk too. But we've been put in this comfortable position and nobody wants to take risks. And so the hierarchy keeps us in that position into infinitum. So here's my point. Why is it that this country that is so wealthy and that kind of stuff and has is indebted more than any other country in the world? One. Number two, why is it that this country keeps just printing money all the time? They just keep, soon as they feel they just keep. That's what I'm saying. So how long can this country keep doing that with this? One, you keep printing money. Number two, you keep increasing your debt. And China has majority of the United States debt. So that is why.
Well, suppose the U.S. decide I'm not paying your debt. What do you think would happen? What can China do? You think they can march in there and take it?
No, but they can.
Exactly.
They can make claims. For instance, a lot of the buildings, infrastructure in the United States of America, a lot of people might not be aware, because of the American foreign debt. You can technically say that a lot of America's infrastructure is owned by China, and you have certain clout that you can make demands. And when you make certain demands, here's what America is going to be forced to do. They're going to be forced to print more money to pay their debt.
No. Well, first of all, the mere fact that they can print money is in itself power.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are still demanding, there's still this high demand for U.S. dollars. But secondly, notice what happened to Russia?
What?
The Russian oligarchs had so much properties and investments and so on in other places in Europe, and they just freeze them.
When was that? When was that?
When they went into Ukraine.
Oh.
They just started seizing their assets, right? Even though technically it's illegal, right? And that's what I'm saying. And
so that is what I'm saying. So here's it. So
not underestimate the resilience of. First of all,
so you think the United States of America? You think the United States of America is doing this on its own? Yes, they have the power, but look, you see this NATO that you all keep underestimating. Look, you see this NATO? You do some research on NATO, and you would realize that what NATO has been doing is like NATO is the one who has been edging the world into the next world war. Because NATO, remember when NATO was formed, do your research and find out why NATO was formed. One. Number two, remember when NATO was formed, Warsaw, if I'm not mistaken,
Pact, yeah.
the Warsaw Pact was formed. Do your research as to why Warsaw was formed. Then eventually Warsaw dissolved. Do your research as to why. I'm going to tell you why Warsaw was resolved. Warsaw was resolved because there was an agreement, verbally or otherwise, that if they dissolve Warsaw, NATO would also dissolve. When Warsaw dissolved, NATO keep edging more and more to the east. Do your research and see where they are now, right on the doorstep. See where they are, right on the doorstep of Russia. Look, here's what I'm saying.
That is what making Russia fidgety. Yes, I'm fully aware of that. But what I'm saying is, right, the two world wars essentially started in Europe.
Yes.
Those people are probably inherently warlike.
Yes.
And similarly, in the United States, right, they don't stand for nonsense either.
I don't.
Against the British
I take
Empire.
issue. I take issue with your statement. They don't stand for nonsense because.
Meaning, they don't hesitate
to be violent,
like military. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I prefer
so
that.
Don't think that because they have a soft life now that they would hesitate to get into another world war, because it has happened twice.
Here's what would happen.
And there's no reason why it can't happen again.
I don't disagree with you, but here's why. This is what you listen to what I'm saying. I am saying if their backs are against the wall, if they find that their backs are being pushed against the wall, I agree with you. They won't hesitate. But what do you think the rest of the world is doing in the meantime? Do you think the rest of the world is just going to... Why you think certain countries are trying to get nuclear armaments and they're trying to retard that? You think the rest of the...
And you honestly feel that they're going to let countries get nuclear weapons? What do you think this whole bombing of Iran was about?
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. We live in a world where there's going to come a time when you're going to be surprised who has nuclear weapons, because certain things are going to happen, and the rest of the world think they know everything. Go ahead, keep on pushing a rat in a corner and see what is going to happen. I agree with you. I agree with you that don't underestimate so and so. But here's where I have a problem with what you put forward. What you put forward is saying because of the position we're in, we must always backtrack and remain in the position we're in. I disagree.
No. I am not saying that we should always remain in the position we're in, but we should be smart in looking at our position and determining how we navigate this world, because the world is not kind to small defenseless countries, right? That's what I'm saying.
The world is not even kind.
These small defenseless countries are not prepared to unite to form bigger blocks. You see how difficult that is, right? And so we have the world as it is, and you may think that more places going to get nuclear weapons. I very much doubt that.
Well, you can stay there. You can stay there with that.
No. What is more likely to happen is an attempt at not necessarily just nuclear weapons, but weapons, what they call them, WMDs, weapons of mass destruction, which might be easier to make, but is also suicidal, okay? And that is what we have to be careful about as well. I don't think, Quinn, the larger countries are going to let things like that happen. I don't think
I agree. Look,
give up their hegemony.
I don't disagree with most of what you say. I agree. They're not. Nobody's going to just relinquish power like that. Right. But I am also saying that who you think are small and vulnerable and you can consistently trample on, they have a brain too. And while you're doing your thing, you may be surprised in the future what they have been doing. You see this AI, you see this computer technology and all those kind of stuff. Mr. McMahon, the world is changing. That is what I'm saying.
Yes, but changing how? Throughout history, the better technology.
If I follow your mindset, Mr. McMahon, If we follow your mindset, we're going to be forever trampled on. If we follow your mindset, then our foreparents would still be in slavery because they were hanging us, they were raping our fathers and sons, they were doing the most dastardly thing. And let me make this point. They were doing the most dastardly thing, and we could have said, our foreparents could have sat back and said, boy, we're not going to get out of this, they got the power, they got the gun, but we found ways. We found ways to make them hurt. And that is what I'm saying. We will find ways, the small, struggling, upcoming man will find ways to make the rich hurt.
I am all for resisting oppression, right? No question about that. But I'm also not suicidal, okay? You see the position the Indians got themselves in? Huh? And you can go throughout history.
The Indians didn't get themselves into that, Mr. McMahon. That is a twisting of history. The Indians did not have any recourse. They did. What could they have done?
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Here's what, it's not just superior technology. The poor Indians, by the time they realized what was happening, it was too late. Because here's what happened to the Indians. Let's use the American Indians. They kept, and we're due a commercial break soon. Because, anyway, they kept making them promises and signing treaties, and they're hoping that things are going to change, at the same time undermining them. To this, look what they even did. Americans, you could say British, because that's the Europeans, dressed themselves as Indian, slaughtered their own white people, and blamed it on the Indians. And then the Europeans now went and just manslaughtered on a massive scale. That is a part of history. So what I'm saying is,
they could only do that because they had superior technology. That is my point.
And I am saying, Mr. McMahon, I don't like your mindset. Your mindset is that here's my mindset. My mindset is, you're not suicidal, I'm not suicidal either, but I'm going to die trying to take down as much as I could with me. And that is the mindset that they don't want. Not like you, who wants to sit in a corner and say they have the might, and so I'm gonna digress. No, I've not. I've always said, and I'm going to read. If I was alive in the days of slavery, I wouldn't be here today. I would be dead. I would be one of the. I would be one who they hung on a tree. It is because of those. It is because of those who were hung on trees that we are where we are today.
You know the standard of guerrilla warfare. He who fights and run away lives to fight another day.
Yes.
Right? It's tactics, Quinn.
But you're not speaking about fighting. Your rhetoric, Mr. McMahon, for the first time this morning, now you're talking my language. But so far you was just speaking, acquiesce. They have the power. That is the impression I'm getting.
I was just pointing out the fact as the reality as it is right now. In technology they're leading, even in AI, it's there. It's not down here, right? And that's a reality that we have to deal with, okay? Right? Yeah, look, and it's you can see it every day in front of you. Look at what's happening in Gaza, huh? They can't defend themselves.
And so that I'm glad you use that example, because that is my point. When you're in a position where you don't do anything, they will completely wipe you out and have no remorse. You must find a way. This is why when they went into Vietnam, the Vietnamese, what they did, even when you saw a baby or a woman, you were in for debt, because those women strapped, whether they put something to detonate in their different cavities, female cavities, whatever, walked into your camp, and that was the end of you. This is where suicidal things came up. You think they came up because the world was nice? They came up because the world was horrible and people decided, okay, you're horrible, I'm going to die and I'm going to make you die too. And I'm going to make you, if I can't kill you, I'm going to kill your auntie. Look, this is not a nice world, and I'm not one who's going to sit down here and say...
That's what I'm trying to point out to you.
No, you're not being... You've been trying to point out to me, you've been trying to point out to me that because they have the power, I don't have a chance. That is the impression I was getting. Now you're speaking, you're sort of changing your language, and I agree with the change now. And that is, you think those people who say they're America's friend are really their friends? You think America don't have enemies who are waiting for America to just make one slip? And I can tell you, America is making the slip right now, because America see the person who they have in the leadership. The rest of the world is seeing that America isn't what it was cracked up to be.
The rest of the world can't do a thing.
They can't do a thing right now, maybe, but...
But it's sad they're seeing.
Anyway, we're due a commercial break.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
When can I open my eyes?
Not yet. Okay, open. Do you see what I see?
It just looks like land to me.
It's our land, son. A wise investment that will grow with you.
Invest in land with CIBC Caribbean and we'll give you US $250 towards your valuation cost and 50% off your loan application fee. With CIBC Caribbean Land Financing, you can choose to build, hold, or pass on to your children. Visit CIBCCaribbean.com to learn more. Conditions apply.
We'll be here in the worst of times. We'll be here till things get better. We'll be here to see you through. We're here invested in you. We're invested in you. You can depend on us. We will take care of you with a legacy of commitment you can trust. We hear what you've been saying. We know what you've been thinking. We understand what's in your heart. Trust us to do our part. Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
St. Kitts and Nevis, are you ready to take control of your financial future?
For you.
St. Kitts and Nevis, are you ready to take control of your financial future? Join the UTC Global Balance Fund Limited for a free personal finance and investing webinar on Wednesday, July 9th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. via Zoom. Learn from financial experts Omar Burt-Smith and Tricia Ann Henry as they break down the power of investing and introduce the UTC Global Balance Fund Limited. Seats are limited. Secure your free gbfl.com to register today. Don't miss this chance to unlock your financial potential.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on Win Media 98.9.
And we're back on Island Tea, and with us in studio, we have Mr. Flanders Kyle, right? Yeah. I always don't want to mix it up with Troy. So we have Kyle Flanders, and we will dive right into Farm Report for this week. So good morning and welcome back.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Today we have a lot to cover, so as I say, we'll just dive right in because in the last few days we had a press conference by the Minister of Agriculture, and we had an address to the nation by the Prime Minister. And each of those touched on agriculture in one way or the other. And so we'll dig into that. But first, let me just preface this by saying that I don't want anybody to think that this show is about politics or about bashing the government or anything like that. I know some people often say, well, farmers expect the government to do everything. So let me just say that, make no mistake, farmers are doing what they can with the cards that they are dealt. Right now we have a consortium chat, and if you see the activity in the chat, persons helping each other. There's transactions going on. You got £10 of this, I want £5 of that, things going on like that. Yeah. I got some issues here, make plans to go a certain way. Anybody have any idea? Things going, we're exchanging ideas, exchanging planting material, and even to vent. Because farmers tell us straight out, Lord, just get knocked out from some pig, they eat all my stuff, and we say, we understand why you're going through, all of us. So we are doing what we need to do. We have partnered with entities like IUCN to get fruit trees and planting programs and all those things going on. So the farmers are doing what they need to do. But the only problem is that there's a juggernaut in the way. There's a huge obstacle in the way called the government. Because the government has taken it on themselves to basically, like I said before, nationalize agriculture in a sense. Because most things we have to go through the government, concessions, government, inputs, government, those kind of things. So understand that when we're talking about the government, it's because they are the largest player in the agricultural sector in St. Kitts and Nevis. And even things like projects and stuff like that, the government can determine whether they want to have a project on board or not, if they want someone to be a consultant or not. They have that kind of power, that kind of reach. So when we're discussing these things, it has to be the government, because they have also squeezed out a lot of the private entities. Right, you had certain departments told you to bring in certain things for agriculture. They've been squeezed out because they cannot compete when we're talking about no tax, no subsidized inputs. They cannot compete. So just let me get that out the way. So let's dig into the meat of the matter. So I want to start by, again, defining food security. So in the context of St. Kitts, it is all of us in St. Kitts having access, both physical and economical access, to food, healthy food, that at all times that can help us be productive citizens, help us with our health, right? We must have access all times to healthy food. As a teacher for 15 years, I've seen where students would come to school and they could tell that there's food insecurity in St. Kitts because students are hungry, they don't know, they didn't have any breakfast, something reach in the pocket to help them, that kind of thing. It happens. There was a study recently that showed that, again, only Guyana in the world can feed themselves.
Imagine that.
Yeah,
in the world.
In the world, because you realize states like America would have outsourced the so-called poor jobs and that kind of thing to Mexico, China, those things. So now they're coming back to haunt them, right? So now they want to try to put tariff on it because the trade balance is so out of sync. Yeah. So understand that when you expect the Prime Minister and the Minister to talk about seed, right? They love acronyms, right? So seed, you're talking about sustainability and, agriculture is one of those pillars. You would think that it will be deliberate and targeted towards food security. You don't expect to hear, again, I've said this many times, about 100 acres dedicated to pepper production. Right? A tobacco project, for me, in my scope, makes little to no sense.
Because we can't eat that.
We cannot eat that. It makes little to no sense. And the more they talk about it, the more you actually have questions. Yeah. Because it doesn't serve the purpose of food security, for sure. It doesn't make economic sense because you realize that farmers are not included. And so the monies would just be paid to the step workers. And then where does the rest go? Does it go into the economy? Where does it go? Where does the rest money go? Is it to some benefactor? Is it to a minister? Where does it go? Because if farmers were involved, we pay the farmers. They can also hire the same step workers. And I don't think they're going to pay the minimum wage because they understand that agriculture is hard work. So I don't think they will pay the minimum wage. So you will see that money trickling down in the economy. But right now, we don't know. Tabasco pays them. Where does the money go? You pay the minimum wage to the step workers, and that's it. The most money gone to somebody's pocket or the coffers in the government. I don't know. Nobody knows.
Let me ask you a question because it has been bandied about recently. I said to one individual who posed that I didn't really believe because have you heard a rumor that the government is planning to use the army to do agriculture?
I was getting to that one. Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't a rumor, it was actually an article, right? So I was going to get to that one. Let me just deal with it right now. So I saw an article saying that the Permanent Secretary gave 5 acres of land to the Defense Force to do their own farming. Now, it's something you wonder, like, how can something so simple be so hard? Because they have a Department of Agriculture with a marketing unit. The Defense Force is a government entity.
Yeah.
It's simple as farmers want to market, you want to sell their produce instead of throwing them away. Okay, Defense Force give us a list, tell us what you want. We're going to get it for you. As simple as that. We want the soil is going into the farming. They're not exports in the area.
They always had a little farm somewhere there, right?
That is what I said. I said, well, they all, but that's not what they're speaking about.
5 acres. So you're telling me our soldiers, instead of getting ready to national security in the garden, so what when in the garden and something happens, they drop whatever. Like, this doesn't make no sense.
Drop the tools and go defend.
Right, so these are the things, these are simple things, and they put it out like it's something big.
When I heard that, I mean, it said to me, the government doesn't take agriculture seriously, one, and number two, the government is trying to crush the agriculture sector, the farmers.
I believe that, because that's a simple win right there. Because in your MOU, you're saying that, okay, if you can produce in 2 weeks, you throw them away. But if the Defense Force, like all government entities, should have a contract or whatever with the marketing unit, hospital, everybody to supply the produce that they need. It's a simple thing. They don't need no rocket science.
Are you going to entertain calls yet, or do you?
No, let me get you first, and then.
Okay, so call back.
So I was talking about the Tabasco project, and so like I said, economically it makes no sense because I don't see where the money is going to trickle down or anything like that. Because the fact that the owners say no farmers should be included because trade secrets. So that shouldn't even be a deal in the first place because they are saying Tabasco, whatever production they go through, trade secret, local farmers can't be involved because they might take our secrets and run and produce elsewhere. It doesn't really scale. Look at us. When Mr. Duggins was talking and he said that Tabasco said, man, whatever y'all produce, y'all send. That's like a serious business. Whatever you produce, you send.
Yeah.
There are no real benchmarks, nothing.
Yeah.
You produce 1 ton, send it. You produce 2 that is not the way.
And we know that if you're going to do something properly, you do planning. You do planning and projections as to how much you will export within a given period, your income, how it will impact your GDP.
You see, planning. The government's supposed to be planning. So you can't just tell you, whatever we produce, we're going to take. That is not a business make. You can't, that's uncertainty right there. Right? So those are things you have to question. And there's no transparency in the project. What was shocking to me was that in the Prime Minister's address, he made a whole song and dance about the Tabasco project. In the Minister's address, when they were reflecting on what it did for the quarter, there was nothing about Tabasco. Mm-hmm. It's only during the question and answer segment he brought up Tabasco. Okay. So who is really in charge of the Tabasco project? Mm-hmm. We don't even know, right? And so, as the Minister of Health, you would think they want to marry the Ministry of Health and Agriculture closely, because a lot of health outcomes depend on the diet. So you would think that you want to push for this whole food security agenda. That's an easy benchmark if you're following the SDGs, right? The global, the Millennium Goals, the Sustainable Goals, sorry. Yeah. Number 2 says zero hunger. Even if that is your North Star, that would tell you, let's not go with Tabasco. Not only Tabasco, but he mentioned a packing facility they're going to develop down in the countryside to package shrimp and lobster to export again. Aquaculture can be used to feed our people. When I was in Jamaica studying, I couldn't afford to eat salmon, right, on a regular basis because it was rainforest salmon, it was farm salmon, so it's not as expensive as the wild caught. Mm-hmm. So why can't we go to that instead of spending the money to develop shrimp and to export? Feed our people, because salmon is a big part of our import bill too. I've seen salmon, tilapia, snapper, all those things. Yeah. So why not engage in some fish farming, whether it is out in the water or some ponds on inland, something. Don't tell me you're going to export again, so food leaving the country again. And then he started calling all the buzzwords. He mentioned hydroponics and all. Let me tell you, hydroponics, it's a nice buzzword, but it's a lettuce we grow in. Certain nutrient-dense crops cannot grow in hydroponics. So the future is not feeding us via hydroponics. So to mention all of that, that's not really saying much.
I said to someone that whenever the Minister of Agriculture speaks, it is almost like, from my perspective, I can I know that there's certain phrases and terms that he's going to use. It's almost like a recitation, you know? Go ahead.
So I was thinking, right? They said they spent 1.9 million already in the Tabasco project, but it's budgeted for 5.5 million based on this year's budget. So I'm saying things we can use that money for. So I dropped on a list, right? If you look at the import bill, the importation of goods, onion is 1.4 million. That's one of the highest, onions. Our farmers can produce onions, but the problem now is you don't own the land, so you can't really build a drying facility. To dry the onions, they normally pull them up, leave them in the field. So of course you know the elements and that kind of stuff, because if it's not dried, you're going to get mold and things like that.
Okay.
So why not build a proper drying facility? Let us grow our onions, dry them in your facility. That's why the 5.5 million could have built a facility to dry onions, and then we would not have a problem. We are talking about things like, when I was in the ministry and I had a meeting with the last administration, and I tell them, you should buy a boat. We should buy a boat and sail it down the islands. Just so the islands sail it down with our produce. They'll laugh. But I genuinely believe we can buy a boat with the 5.5 million, buy a boat, get some of our produce that we produce in surplus, and ship them down. Same way.
And that will alleviate a lot of how you're going to exhaust the supply that you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've pointed out before, we normally produce a surplus of tomatoes.
Yeah.
But they get spoiled, they get thrown away. And the reality is, when we look at it 25 by 25, it was a CARICOM agenda. And as I've told them, I've said before, we have to look at what we have a comparative advantage in, what we do well. So we have carrots, peppers, tomatoes, those kind of things. Some islands down the chain, their advantage is the roots and tubers. Some of them don't produce as much pepper and tomatoes and all kind of thing because the soil different and that kind of thing. So it's easy for trade amongst ourselves. We do the ones you can do, you do the ones, and we send boats go back and forth. Yeah. Simple, easy solutions for helping everybody develop a proper market. You could have built the central school farm. That's the touch point for a lot of students when they're doing agriculture. But it's not up to modern standard, right? That 5.5 million could have gone towards developing a central school farm, aquaculture, greenhouse technology, hydroponic technology, all the technology, so the students already know. Because if you instill it early, that's sustainability right there.
Yeah.
That means person's going to have a love for it, and then we'll see all of the persons going off to study. Because even though they had the contract with, the MOU with Southwest Southern University in Louisiana, majority who is going up is not doing agriculture. Well, that's what I was told from someone inside. The majority are not doing agriculture. Even the Prime Minister said it. Some going to do business, some going to do something else, some going to do not all.
So we really don't care about feeding ourselves then?
We really don't. Because if you're intentional, you would say, okay, this scholarship is for this particular field.
Yeah, because we need people in the area.
People.
Whenever you're ready to take calls, let the people know because the phones are lighting up.
Go ahead.
You're going to take a call? Okay.
Caller, go ahead. Hello, you're live on Farm Report.
Okay, we lost that. So caller, call back and we'll entertain you. Go ahead.
The farmers have been asking for a revolving fund. Put some money there so we can go take a loan on our backs and then pay it back accordingly.
You have a caller.
Okay.
Caller, go ahead. You're live on Farm Report.
Yes. Good morning, Brother Quinn.
Good day.
Good morning. Cortens here.
Yeah.
And
Mr. Flanders.
Who is representing the agriculture. I hear that voice, so I think that's the voice of the agricultural.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I must say, Brother Chris, most of us make complaints, have issue with the way the system. We introduce our remedy, our views, our perspective, and we stay right there and murmur, not even moving forward. Do you understand, in order for something to be done based on your calculation, you have to try to be in it to get it work? Putting your ideas to others when they are not listening. Do you think you're going to get anything done? Brother, I respect your views, but the only way you could get things done, the arena is open for you to go in, participate, and make a difference in the next upcoming election. I am doing this. I don't care who tried to discourage me. By the way, I should have mentioned my name is Winston Welcome. And I'm giving you a sound idea. In order for me, you, and anyone to get anything done, you have to go in the ring and make a difference. There's nothing going to be done. You'll be talking from now on Timbuktu. Go in the ring. I asked you one time, okay? Because you sound like a real bona fide person for the agriculture. I will support you, brother. But you got to go in. Else you're not going to get it done. Your ideas will just go on deaf ears. That's why I'm doing this. I have a good plan for the Federation, you know. But it remains to be seen until I get a chance. Try to ask for a chance. Maybe you may move.
Caller, this is an agriculture show, so keep it succinct. You're repeating yourself now.
Okay. Sometimes we got to be consistent. But I will left it there and I give food for thought. Right now, I will left it there for others because I'm pretty sure others may share my same ideas. In order to get things done, you have to participate. And how you going to participate?
Okay. Hello, caller. Okay, we lost that. Callers, when you call, have a little bit of patience. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. I understand what he's saying, but I don't think you have to be that. I was an assistant secretary in Ministry of Agriculture, so I was in the room. I was in there, and nothing still, right?
So is it that you think all the ministers are lending a deaf ear? All who participate in politics are lending a deaf ear when it comes to being serious about agriculture and feeding our people?
Hello, caller. Remember that question?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning to you and the guest there.
Be brief.
I was looking at.
Be brief, Burl. Be brief and succinct. Straight to the point. We're dealing agriculture. Go ahead.
I don't understand. Okay, first of all, let me just commend the guest there. This presentation is very good so far, and he's making some great sense. And the fact that we're hearing that they have now allocated 5 acres to the defense force, I mean, does any of these things make any sense? I'm a mechanic, man. What am I going to do if somebody come and say, why my son need a doctor? I'm not a doctor, bro. The defense force need to stay in their lane. Why is this a competition with the regular farmers? Why couldn't they find a farmer and give them that 5 acres of land to cultivate? And I was looking at the Duggins press briefing, right? And the guy, Glenn Bass, asking him a question. And it's a very, very technical question about the aircraft that he is trying to say will be flying into St. and flying out with cargo to go to Africa that he was mentioning. The guy was asking him, how is this plane going to come in and out of St. loaded and got to be loaded with fuel? Do we need to extend the runway? That's a technical question. Me, Duggins himself, may not have had the answer for that question. A pilot or a person who's in the aviation field maybe can answer that. Me personally, I can't answer that question either. But just picture he's saying that the plane is going to fly direct to Nigeria or whatever, but the plane will fly out loaded with cargo and loaded with fuel. That doesn't sound feasible to me. So that means it sounds like we're saying we might need to extend that runway to accommodate that plane. But this stuff don't make no sense, man. And we don't want to listen, so the end result we will feel. And I'll leave it there. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So to answer your question.
We have another caller. Hello, caller.
Yes. Good day to everybody. Greetings.
Be brief and keep it to agriculture. Go ahead.
Yes. What I'm saying is that there is a bigger issue here that people are missing. Number one, the more things government own, and now if it go over and own agriculture now, as they say, nationalize it, what that going to do, that only going to add more to the government control of our lives. And like I said, government don't own all kind of things, school, roads, hospitals, everything, and now to own agriculture, that would mean, remember, if you get turned away from government from one place, you get turned away from government for all places. So that would mean now, if a person speak out and that sort of stuff against government, they ain't in Gonga agriculture to go to, because you still have to go to government. Or if you're opposing government and you want employment, agriculture now would be out for you, because government control it, that they own that now. So we have to realize the very dangerous dictatorship, tyrannical nature of government increasing its ownership, control, and that sort of stuff more and more over the economy. We disobey the Bible to our detriment and destruction, because this goes against the Bible. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, all right. So to answer the question you asked me earlier before the caller, the caller actually said something that I was going to say sooner. So if you look at the response that Samuel Duggins had towards Glenn Batt, you saw the arrogance, you saw the stubbornness in the answer. You're not into aviation. You're not that technical, but you want to keep forcing the answer. Glenn Batt hit you with facts, right? And you still want to come back and come back. That is the exact mindset that I've faced in meetings with Samuel. My area is agribusiness. My master's in agribusiness. My undergrad is in economics. So I know a little thing or two about agriculture. So I've had discussions with Samuel, and he have this phrase that he keep talking about: be careful to make your facts into opinions, or something like that. So this is not the first time I heard him say that. When he told us to Glenn Batt, I was like, wow, that's just deja vu all over again. So that's a mindset that they have. As long as it's not something I came up with, it's no good. And so therefore, I'm not going to go through with it. Because like I said, the 25 by 25, I was a part of that. I started that. But I had a different approach. And so when I expressed my different approach, it was a problem. Many things I expressed became a problem. And so, like the gentleman said before, I was tossed into a corner. And like he said, if you follow with one part of the government, you ain't got nowhere else. You ain't got nowhere else to go, right? Because that's just it. That's it. So I said, I'm not going to sit in the office all doing nothing. I went and found employment elsewhere. I know I can speak a little freer because I don't have them breathing on my neck like that anymore, right? So that's what we have to deal with. That is why, because you want to know, why is it that they're so hell-bent on this Tabasco and this Nigerian thing? Because technically, it is not. If you're building a hub for the Nigerian experiment, a hub, you know how much money it's going to take to get us to a standard where we're able to be the hub and the warehousing and all that kind of thing. It's going to take a lot of money.
Yeah.
It is cost prohibitive. We are a small country. We don't operate to scale. We do not experience economies of scale. Like somebody said, 100 acres of pepper is nothing, because Tabasco has pepper farms in Costa Rica, in other much larger farms. That is why you have to question this whole arrangement.
Yeah.
Because they're telling you, just bring whatever. Because they have other farms larger than us. Yeah. So why is it that we are in this? How does it make sense? And here Mr. Duggins yesterday talking about, well, when I went to Louisiana, I saw them producing peppers on 5 square miles. We have 68 square miles. What does that mean?
We can't.
Our entire country will be dedicated to processing. What does that mean?
Everybody has to have a garden in the back of their yard.
Like, I don't get it.
Just
like,
semantics.
Some things that just baffles the mind. Even in he said that, okay, they were asking about protection against agriculture and stuff like with hurricanes. He said, well, most oasis countries don't get hit from hurricanes at the same time. So if one gets hit, the other's going to tune in to help them, join up to help them.
We may be together in certain things, but we are selfish on our very own.
I'm wondering if he never lived in, say, Hurricane Hugo came through and cleaned up so much countries.
Yeah.
Like some of the hurricanes are so big that you feel it in St. Kitts and Antigua feeling it too.
Yeah.
So how are you saying that it don't hit? Like those kind of logic. Like when he said that Europe built an empire on sugar, so why can't we build St. Kitts on pepper? I'm like,
can't eat that.
But we can't eat it, and we don't own it. Yeah. The Tabasco product is not our own. How do we invest in our own pepper? Because let me tell you something. The consortium was supposed to enter into a deal with some private entity to give them Scotch bonnet peppers. Right? We have dedicated part of our lands to the farmers. When they did the maths, they realized this doesn't make no sense. It's too expensive.
Don't bother with it.
Don't bother with it. So how is it that now the government, I mean, yes, they're going to subsidize everything, they didn't have the same overheads, But that just shows that that's not the true market value of what you're doing. So even when you pay the step workers a certain amount of money, the cost of all the input is not the true market value. So you're selling stuff to Tabasco at a reduced rate, at a subsidized rate. It is not the true market value. So this whole thing just doesn't make much economic sense, I don't understand it. And I'm still at loss for words as to why we are still barreling down this path.
I know all the governments went to, was it Qatar, Dubai? And I saw when the Guyana president, when he came back, everything that he focused on in terms of if he got funding from there was in agriculture. And I know all governments around the world do photo ops, every single one of them. So he's in the greenhouse showing you all the progress that the Guyanese is making and all these things. And I'm like, wow, at least he went to ask for food. He ain't looking for nothing else. He makes sure he could feed his folks so that he can get where he needs to get. So we need to look at that. And I cannot see somebody like you with such a brilliant agriculture mind out here, and they're not seeing it fit to use you and your mind to grow the country and to make us food sustainable.
But the thing is, it's not even about me alone, because a consortium as a group of farmers with expertise long older than the PS and the minister combined, they are there ready to work with the government. They have put forward ideas as to how we can get this thing done. That 5.5 million could have been used to upgrade the facility of the department for the marketing. Because right now, how it was constructed, it is not a proper sorting and grading facilities. Right? At one point, the building was condemned because the way it was constructed, it was a little wobbly, and things start sinking, and then somebody had to come in and strap and fix that. You go in there, there's hardly any room to do any kind of sorting, grading. That's why the MOU said the farmers must sort and grade their own things, because up there is not suitable for that. So if you are looking, even storage.
You have a caller.
Caller, go ahead. You're live on the Farm Report, and remember to keep it to farming. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Quick question again. Lastly for the day. Is there trade going on between Nevis and St. Kitts and the region? Like the guy says, a boat would have been good so that they can drop goods off on island. But my question quickly and simply, is there any agricultural exchange going on between St. Kitts and Nevis? Trade? That's my simple question. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another caller. Hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Now I'm listening to this young man, right? And he's making so much sense. But what to me what this sound like, it's like somebody in government. I'm gonna be blunt. They got their palm grease to push this thing, even though they know it's not feasible. It's not gonna amount to anything for the country, but they don't care. They already got theirs. That's what this thing seems like. Because when this young man is making so much sense, and like Hortensia said, he sounds so brilliant. Why isn't he not being used? $1 million question. Is it that he not speaking their language?
That's it.
Well, I don't know what other language he needs to speak, because we need to be fed.
I don't know either, Hortensia.
We need to be fed. Why is he out here with all this knowledge? And as he said, he doesn't want to do it by himself. He has the entire consortium and everybody. Why are they out here and they're not being used?
But it's not like they don't care whether the country is fed. Yeah. Like I said bluntly, somebody's got their palm grease, their pocket is fat, and they're pushing this even though it's not, they know to themselves it's not going to amount to anything for the country. Like a whole lot of projects they push. This is something Sinkis go through all the time. They come up with all these things, make it sound grand and dandy, and then it amount to nothing. Yeah. It's like somebody said, put on a T-shirt, show me a project that you finished. All these things what they come up with, that there's nothing come out of it. Have a good day, guys. It's sad, though.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, to answer the question that the gentleman asked about trade between St. Kitts and Nevis, yes, of course, there's a lot of trade going on between St. Kitts and Nevis. I mean, Paris leafy greens is out of Nevis, and you can get them up Rams, wherever, nicely packaged lettuce. Even my brother, he has his stall, he has his farm. Somebody will call, say, put this on the boat. We got to put it on the boat. So there's a lot of trade going on, even ideas, trade of ideas. A lot of the fruit trees we got from out of Nevis for the consortium. A lot of the avocado and those things came from out of Nevis. There's a nursery up there, I forget the name, Tropical Blossom or something like that. So we got those from them. So there's a lot of collaboration on that level. Governmental wise, that's a whole different question, right? That's a whole different question. But let me not just look at the downside, right? Even coming out of Samuel's press conference, there were some positives in agriculture. The whole idea of the hatchery, right? That's not a bad idea at all, because beforehand, even though we were almost self-sustaining in egg production, the only hiccups used to be that feed was an issue. That's why sometimes Christmas come and we can't really get. But that's a good idea, because most of the chicks used to come out of Barbados. So if Barbados could export, why can't we engage in that and eventually grow our egg sector so large that we start exporting? Right, so that's not a bad idea. So that's something I would commend them for, because eggs can be used. But the difference here is that we look after ourselves already with eggs. We can already service ourselves with eggs. So by all means, that's taken care of. Surplus, export. But the other commodities, we're not looking to export just yet. Let's keep our eyes off of that. Not yet. Focus home. Clean your home first. We want your own front door first, and then you look outwards. Right? So there's some pluses, but the bad outward is so much, right? That's, I don't know.
Effective man using the Lord. The Lord. Oh right, boy.
So I mean, like I said, I had a lot of ideas we could do with the 5 million. The revolving fund was one. Grants for farmers was the next one. The expansion was the next one. There's so many things we could have done with a 5.5 million that...
You have a final call.
Caller, go ahead. You're live on Farm Report. Remember to keep it farming.
Yes. I would like to let the young man know that if government now was to fully overcome and get agriculture under its belt of control, even his ability to speak out will be threatened even more, because if once government is in control of agriculture, as it wants to, and as it's moving in the direction, everybody in agriculture will become at least de facto a government-employed worker. And even his talking out will be much more under threat. And his alternatives to find employment elsewhere will be greatly diminished, because government already owns so many sectors and growingly in the economy. So I just wanted to know that it will get personal with him as well if government control agriculture as they want to and as they are trying to. Okay, thank you.
And that is a good point.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Let me just wrap up by saying that I'm only the one on the radio. It's not me alone, right? There's a whole backing there. Even when I worked at agriculture, a lot of us were just I don't want to use the word victimized, but that comes to mind. So I've had friends in there and two of us in the office doing nothing for months and end. He ended up leaving and went to our next ministry where he's this was a gentleman, good at finance, right?
I said a last, but because the phone was lighting up. Go ahead.
Quinn, this is Jam Down.
Hey, Jam Down.
Quinn? Yeah.
Speak to the agriculture. Speak to the agriculture individual.
Yes. Quinn, don't disrespect me, so man.
No, this is not disrespect. I'm saying that because you address me.
The young man is talking a lot of sense, okay?
Yes.
When Quinta speaking to the agriculture, the young man is talking a lot of sense. I like the point where he tried to make with the boat, because we need the boat to help the farmers with the goods. We really need the boat. And the guy is doing well. He sounds well. You are going to bring him back, Ketencio. He's good.
He has a regular show here.
Yeah, he comes every Wednesday.
He's gone.
Okay. He comes every Wednesday, Jam Down, in case if you're listening. So you can just stay tuned at 9 o'clock every Wednesday, and you be sure to hear Mr. Flanders and his excellent ideas.
Yeah. So, and to Jam Down, my apologies. I just wanted you to speak to the young man, that's all. No disrespect. Go ahead.
Yeah, so again, I'm just one of them who I believe in speaking out when things are not going a certain way. I always believe in that because, like I said, working in agriculture, you had a whole unit, as I mentioned this before, called the Policy and Planning Unit. This had about 4 or 5 individuals, and their job was to, date her and look at the policies so we can implement them. But unfortunately, majority of them supported the previous administration, and that entire unit has been dismantled. Right, so that's why there's nobody to do policy and that kind of thing. That entire, so there are persons in that unit sitting down right now, doing nothing. Persons
You have another caller. Your calls are your phones are going crazy today, so I'm entertaining them. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, I've been listening, and I want you to understand that those two previous callers who are calling on the farming community to participate in the political arena, I don't want it to be downplayed. And I understand it's a farm show, but there is something significant happening there. And if your guest is not willing to join the political ring, then we must begin to search and see who might be willing.
You sound like you might be willing.
Say that again?
You sound like you might be willing.
Well, but we have to begin to search to find true representation from the community, because as they're saying, we can't continue to be saying the same thing week after week without action.
Yeah.
So I just want you, those two previous callers, to understand that we're listening to them, and we are going to begin to look to see if we can have better representation coming from the community. And I just wanted to assure them that we're taking them seriously, and for you, I want you to understand that this is not just a farm show anymore, because politics is involved in everything in this country. And give them the opportunity to express themselves, because they are speaking on our behalf, and we are very hurt, we are very disappointed in what is happening today. So give those who are trying to help us and to represent us and in the media, give them the opportunity to do so. Understanding, and I understand what you're saying is a farm show, but I think it's moving beyond just a farm show for potatoes and pumpkin now. And we're talking about having proper representation at the table so we don't have these issues over and over and over again. Thank you.
Yeah, caller. Hello?
Yes?
Before you go, you see the young man is here, and he has said he does not want to walk down the line of politics. So that is why when he's here, I say keep it farming, but you want to walk down that line. So when you come in...
I don't want to walk down the line, but I'm saying he might not want to walk the line. Let me even say, at this point, I don't know him personally and what he wants to do. But I'm saying, I don't want the people who are representing us in the media on this particular show to be made to feel like they are being rushed off, or they have to talk about only pumpkins and potatoes. Because if it is that we had true representation, your guests wouldn't have to be there quarreling over the government issuing land to a government entity while farmers are suffering. This is the worst agriculture has been in its history, and I'm here for 30 years, and I'm telling you, this is the worst we have been. So I have lost all confidence in the system and in the government, and I think it's time for us to begin to look at who can represent us. If there's anybody who feel like they can represent us, then put yourself forward, and we surely would support you going forward.
Okay, I
hear you. I don't
you.
think what is happening to us can be fixed anymore.
I hear you. Let me say I hear the caller, but I still feel that when you're here, you dictate whatever, and I will back you 100% if you say you personally don't want to go down there. And there's a danger too, because the system will say, "Oh, see now, it's a political show, so you've got to be very careful how you walk that line." Okay, so go ahead.
So, okay, let me just with the caller, I agree that politics is involved in everything, but the party politics is what I'm trying to get away from. Because like I've said, even in the previous administration, this consultant was birthed in that previous administration.
Yeah.
And then I used to be a part of the teachers union, right? And then persons will tell you, oh, I just against the government. And when one party wins, the union active. When one loses, union.
Yeah.
So I don't really want that kind of thing. But understand what he's saying, because politics on that scale exists.
Yes.
It's a reality of our way.
Yeah.
And when you talk about representation, the funny thing is, we thought that when Samuel went in, when the PS went in, they said both of them are farmers.
Yes.
So we thought that
you'd get
representation.
Yeah.
But from the jump, when they started talking, we realized, but wait,
that's
they're not singing out the same hymn book.
Yeah.
Nope.
Right? So let me just say that as farmers, members of the community, both the national address and the press conference by the minister left us disheartened. We're already discouraged, but because there's no future based on what they are planning. There's no future for farmers in their future. There's nothing for us in there. None of the plans there, the outline has anything for us. You're talking about drone technology. We're not there yet. That's for the I don't know who that's for.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know who that's for.
But not for us just yet.
So you have all kind of workshop and stuff, and you check a box. We had a workshop, look good, check a box. But is it for your main constituent? Is it for your main stakeholder? There's no future in none of what they said for the current farming entity that we have, right? So just to put a bow on it, like the caller said, we are fed up. We are disgruntled in a sense because of what's happening. We are annoyed. We just discouraged, right? We're just discouraged. And so we're going to use this show as much as we can to advocate on behalf of farmers. And there might come a point where we eventually might have to, take to the streets, march, whatever we have to do to get things better, because it doesn't seem as though they are hearing the words. They might hear the action. They might see and hear the action and react accordingly.
Yeah.
We might have to reach there. There are times we have felt like we need to go do it, because you look at Europe and stuff, you see them come down with the tractors and just dump all the fertilizer in front of the European Parliament, and they went on real bad.
Before you came on, we were having a discussion along another vein, but what you're saying ties into it. Because I was saying to the caller that because something is or someone is powerful and they seem to have all power, doesn't mean that you must not express that you don't like what is happening. And that is what is agitating the system. The system doesn't like when you as a young person come and express the way you're expressing, but they might as well brace themselves, because this is what the future is going to look like. You understand? The old days when a person sit down there and they are just a farmer and they don't know anything about the intricacies of marketing and export, import, that kind of stuff, and you can talk down to them, and then they acquiesce because they say, okay, well, in their mind they're saying, well, if I don't walk this line, I'm going to be, if I don't walk this line, I'm going to be out of work, and so. But no, you're not going to. Days when a person sit down.
Benefit from whatever, right? So I want to encourage farmers who feel as though they don't have a voice. Let's continue to talk up, call in on the show, voice your opinion, and don't be afraid. Because
Lads in church, like for the party. Buster. We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
7 flavors, best taste. Buster, bolder, better, better. Pick your color.
We set the pace, then everybody follow it.
Buster, live in full color.
Buster.
St. Kitts and Nevis, are you ready to take control of your financial future? Join the UTC Global Balance Fund Limited for a free personal finance and investing webinar on Wednesday, July 9th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. via Zoom. Learn from financial experts Omar Burt-Smith and Tricia Ann Henry as they break down the power of investing and introduce the UTC Global Balance Fund Limited. Seats are limited. Secure your free spot now. Simply email us at info@utcgbfl.com to register today. Don't miss this chance to unlock your financial potential.
St. Kitts and Nevis, it's time to celebrate. We're raising our glasses and saying cheers to 20 years as your trusted telecommunications provider. And because we love our amazing customers, we're giving you the chance to win. Every week, we've got exciting prizes just for you. And that's not all. Step into a cash vault for a shot at $2,000 in cash. To qualify, switch to Digicel, activate a 3-day plan or higher, pay your bill in full, sign up for postpaid or a new Digicel Plus internet package. Stay connected, keep enjoying the best service, and get ready to win. 20 years strong, and we're just getting started. Visit a Digicel retail store today.
Here are your hosts for Value Mart IGA Special.
Running June 26th and July 9th.
Now, our Value Club Blue Tag Specials. Kraft barbecue sauces are just $7.99 each. Essential Everyday Vegetable and Canola Oil, $13.99. Essential Everyday Shredded and Chunk Cheeses, $7.99 each. Banquet breakfast sausages, $7.99. Essential Everyday Fries are just $14.99. Essential Everyday Disposable Containers, $15.99. And now our very low weekly
Value deals. IG and Essential Everyday Peanut Butter, creamy and crunchy, $8.99. Essential Everyday Pasta, $4.99. IGA or Essential Everyday Salad Dressing, $9.99. Essential Everyday Oats Quick and Old Fashioned, $15.99. The AM Toothpaste, $4.99. Nature Valley Granola Bars, $12.99. Shop Smart, Shop Value Mart, tell them in Spanish.
Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí en Value Mart.
Hello, this is Harper.
You got a clock, you got a chair, you got some headphones.
Yep, we got that.
What about a stapler and printer?
Yep, we got that.
Do you have a floor mat too?
Yep, we got that.
Tell me you got some cables and a projector.
More coverage for less. More coverage for less.
When can I open my eyes?
Not yet. Okay, open. Do you see what I see?
It just looks like land to me.
It's our land, son. A wise investment that will grow with you.
Invest in land with CIBC Caribbean and we'll give you US $250 towards your valuation cost and 50% off your loan application fee. With CIBC Caribbean land financing, you can choose to build, hold, or pass on to your children. Visit CIBCCaribbean.com to learn more. Conditions apply.
Parents and guardians, it's time to secure your child's success. Enroll them in Aspire and unlock amazing benefits. $500 in cash savings, $500 in investment shares, and life-changing financial education to teach budgeting, saving, and investing. Don't wait. Sign up your child or ward for Aspire today and give them the tools to achieve greatness. Visit aspire.gov.kn for more information.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on Win Media 98.9.
And we're back on Island Tea as we continue along. We're just about 6 minutes before our closeout time this morning. Quint, anything to add?
I was just thinking that the agriculture discussion was rather interesting. The phones were going crazy. Even after, he had finished and the phones were just going crazy. So I don't know. Something that one of the callers said in terms of politics being in everything, that is true, because I often say to people, that there are different contexts for a word, and the politics of a thing means that which governs it. The politics of a thing, that which dictates the
How it,
format
yeah.
and how it, yeah. So politics, yeah,
How it
yeah.
builds up, etc.,
That's
etc.
it.
And to think, I know a couple individuals from St. Kitts that has gone to Guyana School of Agriculture, where those individuals and all the expertise being used to ensure that we can feed ourselves. As I said, Irfan Ali went away to the Middle East with all these other leaders, and when he came back, all he was talking about was agriculture and putting his money into this and his money. And as I said, you see the photo ops.
And let me tell you, Hortensia, as a Guyanese, you should be proud.
Very proud.
Because to be, I mean, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Imagine a Caribbean island.
No, I don't think. I think
Well,
we're not.
it's not an island. It's not an island. Yeah, Caribbean country. Yeah, I made a mistake there. A Caribbean country. That's because it's on America. Yeah, a Caribbean country, #1 in the world.
I don't know. We're not part of the Caribbean, you know.
You're not part of the Caribbean.
No, we're
Why?
part of South America. It's not part of the Caribbean. Guyana is not part of the Caribbean.
Guyana is part of the Caribbean.
Oh, we're part of CARICOM. We're not part of the Caribbean.
Maybe I would have to. Maybe you're teaching me something here. So, and I'm open to learning.
I'm
but
not
I'm
trying
gonna
to
have
pull us out of what it is, but
Yeah.
I don't think we're not Caribbean.
That's rather interesting. I would have to do some research on that. I've always seen Guyana as a Caribbean country. When I said island, that was a mistake there.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, it is awesome that you can be. I mean, when you think of the world, you know, and the only one designated as self-sufficient in feeding itself.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a lot of folks are down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I should come over there and pat you on the back. that is great, man. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and we can learn from these things. You know, we can learn as a people. If one can be self-sufficient in something, why can't we find what we can be self-sufficient?
Although we
in?
want to be integrated and together, we still selfishly keep some things to ourselves.
Yeah.
All of the countries in the world. So I don't know how we're going to work together for the betterment of people that need sustenance, and this includes food, and we need to do better. And here we're hearing the consortium, the farmers talk week after week, and we're not
We
doing
have a
anything
caller.
about it.
Hello,
good
caller. Thanks for
morning.
your patience.
Thank you for allowing me again, Brother Quinn.
Yes.
Fantasia.
Hortensia.
Sorry.
We're almost out.
Hortensia, forgive me, huh?
We're
Forgive me,
almost
forgive
out of.
me, don't be-
We're almost
Let's get
out
to
of
the-
time. So yeah.
Let me get to the point. I have, as I stated before, and I will reaffirm, in order to get anything done in any company, any government, to wherever it may concern, you have to make a stand. If you so believe this is what should be done, you are being ignored. You're making focal points, valid points. But when you have hard-headed dictatorship people in control, prima donnas, it's going to be hard to get anything done, and that's the kind of government we have, because they are not making the best decisions. We out here has better decisions than them because we heard them before. And my brother, like I said, Mr. Agriculture, you have made valid points. It is well needed. But who is going to listen to you and mandate your proposal? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You said you're not interested in running, but for your dream, your forecast to happen, you got to be in it. Else you will just be a man with good opinions, but not going to get anything done.
Caller.
I'm not dropping word, Quinn.
No. What I'm saying is, because you're being just as much a dictator as the government that you're saying is a dictator. A caller called and said, and I agree, and I agree with you to some extent. they would not get representation without people in the political arena who are of the same heart and mind. If they have them there, perhaps they'll get that kind of representation. But the young man says he himself doesn't want to do it. And you're saying he will not get anything if he doesn't do it. So you're dictating to him, and you're going to put him in an uncomfortable position where he has stated he does not. But if there are people, you know for a fact that there would be people in the agriculture sector who would go down that vein. So preach to them.
Well, I'm not just speaking to him as an individual. The message is broad. This is not personal.
Okay.
To whom is it concerned? Let
Yes.
me just say that.
Yes.
But because he is the one who is emphasizing on this matter, I will consider him to be the one to do it, whether he will need to do it or not. But others out here listening, and the call is out, just like how I'm making the call for independence anywhere, jump in the arena to make a difference. If he don't need to, it's not everyone who will. But he has good ideas, so why not?
Remember he made a point that when Samal and the permanent secretary got involved, that he felt that they would get representation because they are into agriculture. So that is the point. You can have people who say they are into something, but then their heart and mind and soul is, when they get into that position, it's a different thing.
And Chris, what is the word I could say? Failure. Failure.
So wrap up your point, because I want to take another caller if I can before I end.
Of everything that's set forth. Okay? Representation for every sector needed. And I hope in this new upcoming election there will be representatives shall jump into where they think they can lend their hands, stretch their hands, the due diligence, moving forward. We can't have a carpenter being a cook, and we can't have a cook being an agriculture. So each is his own, and you will have firm and strong representation. I am not a dictator, but sometimes you've got to let people realize who they are, because sometimes people don't even know who they are until
why must I always remind you when I say wrap up? We're 2 minutes over time, and I have another caller waiting.
I am done. I am done with the respect, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, good morning again. I'm gonna pick up right where that other caller left off when he said I am done.
Yeah.
I am done asking Kyle Flanders to run for advice from you, Subsequent.
Mm-hmm.
So I've deviated away from that already. But thank the caller that called in and put his input in about the whole situation.
Yes.
Yeah. If we don't get a farmer in the mix, the next government that comes in, we want to advocate to have the real farmers inside of that ministry and stack up that ministry.
Yeah.
But I'm done asking Kyle Flanders to run. He said he don't want to do it. That's not what he is intent to do. So I'm going into the general public and trying to recruit a farmer.
Yeah.
But we have a farmer that's in right now.
It's just like the Rastafarians.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen how the marijuana policy is affecting the Rastafarians, but they don't want to get involved in politics. They need to have a person at the table to have proper representation.
Yeah.
And then I'm championing this thing about getting a farmer, but I've gone past Cal Flanders, and I'm trying to recruit somebody in the general population. And if we don't get somebody in the general population, then when the next government comes in, we just need to stack up some farmers inside that ministry. And everybody needs to put aside their ego and put country above self and work efficiently and effectively together to get this thing done.
Okay.
And I'll leave it there. You guys have a good day.
Yes. Let me see if I can squeeze in this other caller. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Hello, caller.
Hi, good morning.
Yes. Be brief, please.
Yes, peace to you and peace to our nation.
Because we're 4 minutes over time. We have another program lined up. Go ahead.
The government duty is not really to get heavily involved in agriculture. But I could tell you, because we only have a little time, it's to assist. callers, but the People's Active Movement has persons who are interested in farming, like myself. I know what farming is all about because I experienced it when I was young.
Okay, so that's good. That's good.
Let persons know that the People's Active Movement has a farming policy because it's in our manifesto. And we will give the assistance to the farmers to get them independent, because what some persons are calling for is for the farmers to depend solely on government or even somewhat hand over to the government. And remember, farmers are actually business owners, just like how any other business will ask for subsidies and so on from the government. That's what I think they should be asking for, as opposed for the government to be heavily involved in their personal farming enterprise business, if you want to put it that way. So with that said, farmers have no need to fear. The People's Action Movement is here to bring relief and to assist you and to let you achieve and see with your dream what you want to do. God bless you. God bless St. Nevis. God bless constituency number 7.
Okay. Thank you for your input. Any final words, Hortensia?
Nah, just for us to have a good day, yield and take great advice and just do what's necessary to propel our country forward.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. I want you to find out if Guyana is a part of the Caribbean.
It's not.
It's not.
It's
okay.
not.
Read. You have a bit of an article that says otherwise.
It's connected to the Caribbean culture, but it is part of South America. But it's not a Caribbean country. It's not in the Caribbean.
I know it's part of South America, but I still feel, and I'm going to have to be proven
Guyana
wrong.
is a South American country with strong links to the Caribbean because of the colonial past.
Yes. So I consider Guyana a Caribbean country.
But it's not a Caribbean country.
I'm going to have to do some research on that.
You have to call it what it is.
Because I'm not going to let go Guyana that easily, you know.
No, it's not being let go. It's just that we are not part of the Caribbean. Just like how I think Trinidad is not part of the Caribbean either. Trinidad likes to say the South. It says Guyana, a country on South America's North Atlantic coast, is defined by its dense rainforest, English-speaking, with cricket and calypso music. It's culturally connected to the Caribbean region. Its capital, Georgetown, is known for British colonial architecture, including tall painted timber, St. George's Anglican Cathedral. A large clock marks the facade of the Stabroek Market, a source of local produce.
I'm gonna give myself that homework where I'm gonna look up Caribbean territories. That's what I'm gonna do.
And they're gonna try to sneak GT in there, and GT's not Caribbean.
But I'm kind of disappointed in you because you're trying to segue from us.
No, we're not. I tell you, we are linked because of culture, but we are not Caribbean. We are in South America. If you check on the map, you'll see it.
Okay.
I'm not trying to say we're better than anybody because we're all one people.
Yeah.
And our motto said one people, one nation, one destiny, but we are in South America. We're
Okay,
not Caribbean.
so that's it, but I'm gonna get back on you with that because
You found the South 98.9.
Running a business? Closing deals, keeping the books, covering team lunches, that's work. But getting rewarded for it, now, that's a trip. With a new JetBlue business card by CIBC Caribbean, every expense moves you forward. Earn 30,000 TrueBlue points after your first purchase, plus perks like a free checked bag, priority boarding, and more. Make your business a trip with a new JetBlue business card by CIBC Caribbean. Apply today at www.cibccaribbean.com/JetBlue.
I ain't got no hurricane safety tips now. Well, Skelett got, and together we can weather the storm. So, check this. Prepare for power outages. Charge devices before a storm strikes. Develop a plan in the event that electricity goes. Learn where and how to shut off your home's electricity. Ensure that there are no trees in the lines near you. If you are experiencing low voltage, turn off the main switch in your home. Do not touch wet appliances. You feel only NEMA can give safety tips?